This web series is spearheaded by the Grey Willow's Resistance. More on that at the end of this broadcast. Meanwhile, here's your weekly audio series, Inalienable Paradise, hosted by John Wishes. What makes this radio series so special to me personally, and what makes it unique to most other podcasts or spoken word series, is this has a very clear unifying theme, which is tools that people can use that could brighten their perspective or induce some sort of positive transforming effect even in the most inescapable of hard times. These are things that can be applied to any person on the planet, no matter if you live in Sierra Leone or if you're a millionaire in Luxembourg or if you are held hostage somewhere in the Middle East. These tools can be applied to everyone. Perhaps one of the most helpful tools for this goal of mine to share information and tips like this to the world was one of the first ones, which came shortly after I was reading the case of the murder of Sylvia Likens, which was single-handedly responsible for this spoken word series and many of my art projects. It changed my life forever. And it comes from Matthew 5:41. Now this is not a sermon, and I am not religious, nor am I promoting religion in other people. I am just sharing a principle and another tool that could brighten your day, even in the hardest days, and it just so happens to come from a religious source. So it is Matthew 5:41, where it says, "If someone makes you go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles." And unfortunately, to me, this has been pretty badly twisted in the 21st century. I have read a lot of musings on the internet and writings of interpretations of this, and too many people have a very wrong view, in my opinion, that the main message for this is to exceed expectations and maybe in the workplace or something, which I think is totally wrong. I think this is showing empathy and exceeding expectations even towards your worst adversaries, which is why I titled this episode, "Make Your Punishments Beautiful," which is funny, because a few episodes ago was called "Make Your Punishments Ugly," when I used the case of Giles Corey, who embarrassed his tormentors by kept saying more weight and requesting more weight be put on him. And this is the complete opposite of that, yet it yields the same results, which is by over-delivering on the promises of your adversaries, doing more than what they asked, to show them that whatever they throw at you is more than enough for you to endure. In fact, it's too weak. Now I am going to read 2 sources that I think are the most accurate elaborations on this principle. One from a brief piece of Sarah's musings, and another from Bible Hub, which I will go to first. Now this is from Ellicott's Commentary for English Readers. from Bible Hub. I will link all of these sources in the description below. And it goes like this. Whoever shall compel thee. The Greek word implies the special compulsion of forced service as courier or messenger under government, and was imported from the Persian postal system, organized on the plan of employing men thus impressed to convey government dispatches from stage to stage. The use of the illustration here would seem to imply the adoption of the same system by the Roman government under the empire. Roman soldiers and their horses were billeted on Jewish householders. Others were impressed for service of longer or shorter duration. The influence of Rome is shown by the use of the Latin word, slightly altered, for the mil passum, the 1,000 paces which made up a Roman mile, about 142 yards short of an English statute mile. It is interesting to note a like illustration of the temper that yields to compulsion of this kind. Rather than struggle or resist, in the teaching of the Stoic Epictetus, should there be a forced service, and a soldier should lay hold on thee, let him work his will. Do not resist or murmur. Now, it's important to say that this commentary was from a different translation that says, and whoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. So, in case there were some alien-looking words from that text, it is because it is from that translation. And I usually, when I go to biblical sources, my favorite is the New American. Now for the second piece of writing, which is from a website called Sarah's Musings, or a blog called Sarah's Musings. It's from the very end, where she talks about a LinkedIn post that I found not only helpful to me, but could be helpful to others. I will read as follows. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. The following information is taken from an article posted on March 29, 2016 on LinkedIn on the topic of Matthew 5:41, titled, The Actual Meaning of Walking the Extra Mile and What I Learned from It, written by James D. Anand, Associate Dean Media and Management, Business Design at WE School in India. Walk the extra mile. That's an expression I have heard the most in academics and realm of management. I think it is usually meant to go beyond one's ability or to make a special effort to accomplish. As they say, stretch oneself. Walk the extra mile is not just to walk more than required. It is a biblical expression. Biblically, Jesus is believed to have used it during his sermons, as per the book of Matthew 5:41. Whoever forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. Scholarly versions of this verse refer to a practice of impressment by the Roman law on Jews. Any Roman soldier could order a Jewish civilian on the way to carry his baggage, mainly containing armory, for 1 Roman mile. A Roman mile is roughly 1.5 kilometers. This was a painful task, as the poor unlucky fellow would carry 40 to 50 kilograms, between 88 and 110 pounds of weight. As I digress, I am just saying this is very similar activity to what anti-Stalinists and communists would get at the gulags, but that's just a side note. Once the mile is over, the servant could drop it and get relieved. I guess a protest might have lingered over this rule by many. This surely was of a concern to the Jewish community, and that's the reference of Jesus in the context of teaching this human behavior. In the process of disambiguation of this expression, I learned 3 things. Lesson 1. Even if others treat you unfairly, how you behave is more important. Treat them generously is the message. We could walk with the soldier one more time, one more mile, generously. Lesson 2. This walk would result in a rapport with the soldier who is actually a servant of the people. Walking that extra mile with implied patience would let us know about him once more. One could walk conversationally. This is more useful in personal life. Lesson 3. It's one of the very impressive management learning. The extra mile would be the walk of a business designer with his customer, walk of a consultant with the client, walk of a designer with the user. It is the customer service. It is user study. It is unconditional. This is the building block of a star. To walk the extra mile is not exactly to walk extra. It is actually more than an extra mile's walk, generously, conversationally, unconditionally. Now, I agree with a lot of this, and this is a very beautiful post, but it did kind of digress on Lesson 3, going a bit too much emphasis on the modern capitalist, consumerist bias, where I think the most useful is from Lesson 1, which is being generous and placing more emphasis on how you behave and react when injustice is imposed upon you than the act of injustice itself. Socrates said that it is better to be a victim of injustice than a perpetrator, which is very closely related to that. And that is also a very important tool to keep you through the very hardest of times. I very hope you enjoyed this episode of Inalienable Paradise. Keep smiling, keep shining, always. I am in the process of starting a guerrilla movement called Grey Willow's Resistance, dedicated to protecting disabled people from violence and abuse. Whenever an act of abuse or violence is committed on a disabled person or someone is attacked over something they can't control, it is a member's responsibility to apprehend the perpetrator immediately, whether legal, institutional, workplace, school, etc. This is a very loose movement. All you have to do is defend someone who is getting attacked or oppressed over their disability and share your story on the internet with the tag Grey Willows or Grey Willows Resistance, symbolizing the vital importance of understanding the differences and barely distinguishable fallibilities that each individual possesses. This is all founded on the quote by Charles Bukowski below. You begin saving the world by saving one man at a time. All else is grandiose romanticism or politics.